Someone says 10 kind things to you over the course of a day. You barely register most of them. Then one person makes a single sharp comment, and hours later, alone in bed, it's still playing on a loop in your head. Word for word, tone, and all. You call this being sensitive, but the real answer is far stranger. Your memory isn't malfunctioning when it clings to criticism and lets praise slide off. It's running exactly the way it evolved to run. A psychologist named Roy Baumeister led a landmark review of decades of research on this exact pattern, examining studies across relationships, money, and everyday social interaction. His conclusion, published under the fitting title, "Bad is Stronger Than Good," was consistent across nearly every domain he looked at. Negative events, negative feedback, negative interactions consistently produce a stronger, more lasting psychological effect than positive ones of equal size. By some of the estimates his review cites, it takes roughly 5 positive interactions to offset the emotional impact of a single negative one. To understand why memory specifically behaves this way, it helps to look at a neuroscientist named Elizabeth Kensinger, who has spent years studying how emotion shapes what your brain chooses to hold on to. Her research found that negative experiences aren't just felt more intensely in the moment. They're encoded into memory using a more detailed, higher resolution process than positive or neutral experiences typically receive. Kensinger's work showed that the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center, becomes especially active during negative events, and that activity strengthens the connections responsible for locking a memory in with sharp, specific detail. This is why you can often recall the exact words of an insult, but a compliment from the same week dissolves into a vague, pleasant blur. Your brain wasn't being unfair. It was allocating its limited resources toward the input it judged most worth keeping in sharp focus. Now ask why a brain would be built to weight information this way in the first place. Imagine 2 ancestors. One tastes a berry that turns out to be mildly unpleasant and forgets about it by the next week. The other eats a berry that makes them violently ill and remembers the exact bush, the exact shape of the leaves, in vivid detail for years afterward. Only one of those memories keeps you alive the next time you're foraging. A brain that weighted a single bad outcome as heavily as it weighted an ordinary good one would be a brain that kept making the same dangerous mistakes. The same logic extends directly into the social world your ancestors depended on for survival. In a small group where your standing determined access to food, protection, and mates, a single serious social misstep, being caught in a lie, being publicly humiliated, being excluded from a hunt, carried real, sometimes lethal consequences. 100 pleasant, uneventful interactions confirmed what you already knew. You were fine. One sharp negative interaction told you something had changed and possibly needed fixing immediately. Vigilance toward threat, including social threat, was worth far more evolutionarily than noticing when things were simply going well. Compliments in this light functioned as confirmation. Insults functioned as data requiring urgent action. Your brain built an entire filing system around that asymmetry, and it still runs that system today, even though a sharp comment from a coworker carries nothing close to the stakes of a poisonous berry or a broken alliance in a hunting band. This is why one critical comment on something you created can erase the memory of 10 people who praised it. Your brain isn't telling you the criticism matters more because it's more true. It's telling you the criticism matters more because negative information has always been the kind worth remembering precisely. So the next time an old insult resurfaces uninvited while a recent compliment has already vanished, this isn't proof that you're overly sensitive or that the criticism was somehow more accurate than the praise. It's an ancient filing system tuned across hundreds of thousands of years to protect you from poisonous berries and hostile alliances, still sorting a stray comment from a stranger into the same urgent folder. Someone says 10 kind things to you over the course of a day. You barely register most of them. And now, maybe, you know exactly why that one sharp comment is still louder than all 10 put together.